We've looked at many similarities and differences between Revit and AutoCAD so far, but one aspect we haven't considered yet is output. At some point, we're going to want to output our files to either paper output or some sort of digital deliverable. Now, like AutoCAD, Revit has the ability to create sheets complete with title blocks, and we can use those sheets to produce our physical printed drawings. So I'd like to look at some of the tools that we have available to us, and I'd like to start with the line weight and scale display. AutoCAD does a terrific job emulating the traditional drafting experience, but it's never really done a terrific job at emulating line weight, particularly on-screen display. We've always had to wait until we printed the drawing in order to see the final line weights, and we had to interact with a fairly complex collection of plot styles and color mapping tables and other mechanisms in order to get the line weight display that we want. So I'm happy to say that in Revit, we don't have to jump through any such hoops in order to get line weight display. Line weight display just happens naturally directly in the Revit viewport. I'm in a file here called Sheets, and I'm zoomed all the way out. But what you'll see is, as I start to zoom in, at some point, the line weight display will begin to appear. And as you can see, the walls are much bolder than the surrounding geometry, like the doors and the elevator and other elements. This is built right into Revit. As you zoom in and out, the line weights zoom in a logical and intelligent way. No different than if you took a physical printed piece of paper and looked at it up close and then moved it away from yourself farther away. You'll get the exact same experience here on screen in Revit. And I personally am quite pleased with that. Now, some folks aren't happy with the default line weights that come out of the box. Of course, you can change those. Now, I'm not going to get into the details of how we change those right now. I'll leave that for you and your CAD and BIM managers to work out. But know that you can change those settings and make your own office standards. So if you want the walls a little darker or you want the doors a little lighter, you can achieve that. Save it as a part of your project template, and that becomes your new office standard. The important thing that I want you to see is that the line weight display is built in, and it's tied to the scale. So if I came over here and I changed the scale of the drawing, so let's say I'm in 1/4 inch right now, let's say I change it to 1/8 inch, and then we zoom in again, you're going to see that that has an impact on not only the size of the annotation and other elements on the screen, but it does have an impact on the line weights as well. I personally think it looked a little bit better at 1/4 inch, and I'm going to set it back to that scale right now. So that's the first aspect of printing, is that basically that takes care of itself. No more plot styles, no more color mapping tables. What you see on screen is what you get in print. The next thing that we want to look at is the sheets themselves. I'm currently in a view. So this is a floor plan view, and we've talked about this before. Level 2 is currently bold. If you scroll down here on Project Browser, you'll notice that there's a Sheets branch right here. Now, if I expand that, this project already has some sheets. You can see them here, a couple floor plan sheets, a few elevation and section sheets. Now, to create a new sheet is a simple matter of right-clicking right here and choosing New Sheet, choosing the title block you want. If you don't see the title block size that you need to use, you can load one in from your office library. And then when you click OK, you get a blank sheet complete with title block. Now, I'm just using the default Revit title block at the moment, but of course, you can customize the title block to match your office standard. And then it's simply a matter of going into a view that's not already on a sheet and dragging and dropping it onto this sheet. Now, I say one that's not already on the sheet. If you try and take a view that's already on the sheet and drag it onto the sheet, it will generate an error. Each view can only be on one sheet at a time. So I'm going to close this here. So I need to find a view that's not already on a sheet. So maybe my ceiling plans, for example. And since I was working on the second floor, I'll just take the second floor view, drag it over, and place it on the sheet. It comes in, and if you zoom in, it comes in complete with a title bar that reports the name and the scale. Now you notice this one's a little bit small because it's at 1/8 inch scale, and we could change that if we wanted to. You can change that directly here on the sheet, or you can go back to the view. To change it right here on the sheet, you simply select the viewport and click here and activate that view. That gives you access to the scale. Notice that it gets larger. I can right-click here, deactivate the view, and then just simply readjust this view to fit the sheet. Now, I already have some sheets over here. So I'm going to open up ones that are already here, like my second floor plan, and you can see it fits nicely on the title block. You can input any of the values that you want to here in the title block. So if I zoom in, if I wanted to change the name of this from floor plans to floor plan level 2, you're going to see that name change on the project browser as well. You could change the number, and the scale and other things are reported directly from the file. Now, when it comes time to actually print this, we go to the application menu. And under print, we've got our print command and we've got our print setup command. I'm going to go to print setup first. And I think this is another breath of fresh air when you're working with Revit. Printing in AutoCAD can sometimes be needlessly complex. There's a lot of settings, there's a lot of configuration, there's a lot of plot styles and other files that have to be all configured just so in order to get proper output. Printing from Revit is a lot like printing from any Windows program. You go to page setup, you choose your printer from the top of the list here, you pick a page size, a couple other settings, portrait or landscape, whether you want to zoom or fit the page, and you click OK. And it's really that simple. And Revit will take care of the rest. Now, at the moment, I'm just going to generate a PDF on letter size paper. I'm using an E-size sheet, so it's a little bit larger, obviously. So I'm going to let it zoom to fit. If you want to print to scale, you choose zoom at 100%. But in this case, I'll let it zoom to fit, go with landscape, click OK. And then when I go to print, it's just a matter of going to print. All the settings will be preserved from that previous screen, and I click OK, and it would prompt me to create a PDF in this case. So I'll give it a name, save it, and it will generate the file. If you're printing to paper output, then you'd go check your device and you would have your printed output there. And it's really that simple. So generating prints from Revit is fairly straightforward. We can create sheets complete with title blocks. They can match office standards. The line weights are what you see is what you get. So they're on screen all the time, displaying exactly the way they're going to look when you print. And when it comes time to print, it's a simple print setup command, very similar to most Windows programs. And then you just simply click print and generate your output.